So what's going on in the UK? Do I show that now, chat? Do I show the video first or do I show the meme first? Okay. Let's start with the meme. This is a good one from a good little one here. It's posted on my channel, which is showing up. Got little George Washington here. Oi, are you the author of these posts? And just these posts are great. Live free or die 6969 says the answer to 1984 is 1776. Come knock on this door, you limp-wristed commie whores. I've got 1911 reasons to fuck you up. Extradite D's nuts in your mouth, bitch. Normandy was a mistake, you traitorous ingrates. At least France put up a fight, bro. And then I ate pork last night, aka your mom, Sharia Ginger. So you got the UK police showing up in the US, and of course, with predictable results from George Washington, ripping it out here. And let's say the Star Spangled Banner ain't putting up with that one right there. Oh man, I'm gonna get in trouble with the meme police here on that one. Gonna get in trouble with the meme police, bruh. So that comes from the English police literally saying they're going to go abroad and they're going to find people posting online. Here's a video, one of the videos from the Met police chief here over there in jolly old London. Let's hear what he has to say.
We will throw the full force of the law at people, and whether you're in this country committing crimes on the streets or committing crimes from further afield online, we will come after you.
From further afield online, meaning even if you're out of the country, they are going to come after you.
Talk to me about that, because we have seen some high-profile figures whipping up the hatred. You talked about it in there with the officers, in fact, about this being added to by online commentary. I mean, I'm even thinking of the likes of Elon Musk getting involved. What are you considering when it comes to... So
she literally name drops Elon Musk and is kind of implying that they could bring Elon Musk to the UK to face prosecution. Continue.
To dealing with people who are whipping up this kind of behavior from behind a keyboard, maybe in a different country.
Being a keyboard warrior does not make you safe from the law. You can be guilty of offences of incitement, of stirring up racial hatred. There are numerous terrorist offences regarding the sort of publishing of material. All of those offences are in play if people are provoking hatred and violence on the streets, and we will come after those individuals just as we will physically confront on the streets the thugs and the obs who are causing the problems for communities.
So that's them directly saying, and in a way threatening Elon Musk even, and saying, hey, we're going to come after you. And he did not limit that to citizens of the UK. And nowhere in that statement did he say, well, obviously this only applies. He didn't say, well, this only applies to people who are British citizens, right? UK citizens. He didn't say that. He didn't make that statement. Now we're going to talk about extradition law, because this has been something that's come up a lot. In fact, it came up when we were covering Niji Sanji, right? When we were covering Niji Sanji, a lot of people were talking about, oh my God, can Niji Sanji extradite people to Japan, right? We are going to talk about this in detail, because I haven't actually gone into the law on this, on extradition and what goes on there, what is at play. Now that said, I'm not a lawyer in every single country in the United States, in the world, right? Sorry, pause. I'm a United States lawyer. I'm not a lawyer for every country, right? So I'm really speaking from a US basis, but there's a plain reading of this international law. You can read it. There's treaties on this. But if you look at whatever your country is, whatever your country, has on the books, that's going to be what applies to you. Also the country where you're at right now. So if you are somebody who's an expat like me, for me, the law of Japan might be relevant, or the law of Thailand or South Korea or the Philippines, right? Where I'm at, saying, okay, is Thailand or Japan or South Korea or the Philippines, are they going to extradite me because I did XYZ? And if they did, where would they have a duty to extradite me to? Would they have a duty to extradite me to the UK or to the US? Because I'm a US citizen, right? So these are all very, very important questions. So let's start out with what is extradition. Let's talk about the law. And this is a good educational piece on it. Extradition is a formal process. Sorry, I think I shared the wrong screen here. Let me share this correct screen. Wow, it's got to be a window, huh? Okay, I'll do this way. All right, here's a window. All right, so extradition is a formal process whereby the state requests from another state the return of a person accused of or convicted of a crime to stand trial and serve sentence in the requesting state. Let me make something very clear. This is a big misnomer. For example, a lot of people talk about, oh, you're going to be extradited for financial, for like, let's say you owe somebody on a lease. Let's say you had to pay somebody rent and you didn't pay them the rent and you just left and you went to Costa Rica or Panama or Paraguay or the Philippines, right? Wherever you are in the world, right? You went to Brazil. Not paying somebody rent is not a crime, right? That's not a crime. That may be something they can come after you in civil court for, but it's not a crime. So there's no extradition for that sort of thing. You can't extradite people over that. So let's say you like owe somebody $100. They're not going to extradite you over that. You're not on the run from anything with financial responsibility. So if it's a civil thing, that's not something they're going to be able to come after you for. So for example, we talked about in the Doki Bird situation, are they going to be able to extradite Doki? Well, all they would have against her is you owe us money. Well, that is not extraditable. You cannot extradite somebody over a civil matter, what we call a civil matter in the US. So you owe me money matter. That's not going to be extraditable. Generally, the type of people that are extradited do really extreme things. Let's look at some people who were extradited, right? Let's go look at some examples of people who were extradited. Now, some of these are very serious white collar crimes, but they're not petty, like for example, like petty debts, for example. So, or right here, WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange, right? Julian Assange, right? Obviously, he eventually got relieved of this, right? But he was one that was fighting extradition, right? Huawei CFO Meng Wanzhou, right? He was held in Canada for 3 years as the U.S. sought extradition on charges of helping the U.S. telecom giant evade sanctions against Iran, right? So that's pretty serious. El Chapo Guzman, right? El Chapo Guzman was extradited on a number of federal charges, including escaping from a maximum security prison using a fucking tunnel, which is pretty crazy, right? He was sentenced to life in prison, right? For a number of things. But yeah, El Chapo. And then Carlos Ghosn, who literally fled Japan and was back in Lebanon, which has no extradition treaty with Japan. So there's no way to get him out of Japan or out of Lebanon to Japan. This is very, very, very important. So those are cases where there were actual extraditions, right? Now, not every country has an extradition treaty. Some don't at all. So, for example, let's look at the US, right? There are a number of countries that do not have an extradition treaty with the US. You have to think, does your country have an extradition treaty with the country where you are currently? So if you're an American and you're in Russia, red means there's no treaty. Red means there's no treaty. Green means there is a treaty. Now, even if there is a treaty, we're going to get into this. They still may not deport you or extradite you. They still may not. So if you are in Russia, they have no treaty. They are not going to extradite you. If you're in China, they're not. Vietnam, they're not. Cambodia, Laos, Indonesia, Madagascar, ironically, the Ukraine, right? If you're in any of those countries, you're not going to get extradited. There's no treaty. They can't extradite you, right? Let's look at the UK, because this is, they want to come after you in the UK, right? The UK wants to come after you. The UK has even less treaties, even less than the US. Even less. You're in Nicaragua, you're over there in the DR, right? You're in Dominican Republic, you're in Venezuela, you're in Suriname, You're in, once again, Indonesia, Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam, Burma, Mongolia. Shit, you're in Dubai. Dubai has no treaty. There's no treaty with the UK. So you just go and chill in Dubai and they can't extradite you. Right? There's no treaty. So they're not going to extradite you over this. So once again, that's a full stop. So you have to ask yourself, are they in a country? Or are you in a country where there's no treaty? So in the case of like Ghosn, who fled Japan, Japan has a treaty with Lebanon. So they're fucked. They can't extradite. They're done. It's like, well, can't get him. Now, if he goes to a country, here's where people fuck up. They travel. And they travel to another country, and that country does have a treaty. So now that all the, with all the WEF stuff and the linking of the global systems and all that good stuff, Interpol, all that good stuff. Let's say you were to connect or go through a European country. So let's say you were somebody who has, let's use the map again. Let's use the map again here. So where you said something naughty in the UK. So if I was to go to, if I lived in Saudi Arabia, I lived in the line, which is not even constructed yet. But let's say I lived in the line in Saudi Arabia, lived in Riyadh. And I had a flight that was connecting through Istanbul, through Turkey, on the way to Algeria, right? I could get arrested in Turkey. And that's what often happens is people get picked up when they go through a country that has a treaty of extradition. So that can happen. Or they do a stop there. They take, I'm going to spend a day in Constantinople because I'm here. Oh, it's going to be great. I mean, Istanbul, whatever. Istanbul. I'm going to say it's tour the ruins of Constantinople, right? Or the Hagia Sophia. So they get arrested there and they get sent to the UK because they went through a country that has an extradition treaty. Now, even if you do have a treaty, a lot of times they refuse to enforce it. And there's two main reasons why they do not, actually three really big ones, that they do not extradite people. And this is one that is I'm going to give you the first one, which is why no Americans will be deported for this. Here's why. You guys ready for this? It's the rule of dual criminality. Dual criminality. The alleged offense for which the extradition is being sought must, not maybe, not should, must be a criminal offense in both the requesting and requested state. So here's the problem. UK cucks, it's not a crime. It's not a crime to criticize the government in America. So suck on these 1776 nuts, okay? We've got freedom of speech. We've got an actual constitution that we believe in, right? We got real rights. It's not a crime. Unless you can prove that's a crime in the US, which slandering the monarchy or the government in the UK, whatever the fuck else it is, or inciting, whatever you want to say, inciting violence on the internet, right? That's not going to be really a thing, right? Against the UK, right? That's not going to be a thing to the same degree it is in the UK, in the laws they have, which essentially say, and I don't have the law pulled up right now, but there's a law in the UK that essentially says if you offend somebody and offend their sensibilities, that's an offense. That's an offense. It's a criminal offense, right? Like if you offend them, if what you say online offends somebody, it's insensitive. It's not illegal to be insensitive in the USA. So that's not going to work, motherfuckers, right? So that's going to stop them. But we're not even done yet, baby. We're not even done. Because beyond that, we've got more. We've got the non-extradition of nationals. So you've got the non-extradition of nationals. So the most famous country that will do this is like Brazil. Brazil is never going to deport a Brazilian out of Brazil. Many other countries do this. So they say, look, if you're a national, if you are from this country, they're not going to export you. So an American in America is not going to be extradited from America. Most countries don't do this and would not do this. You know why? It looks really bad and it makes your citizens really uncomfortable if you are sending your own citizens to a foreign country to be prosecuted. You know how that seems? That seems like a kangaroo court. It also violates a lot of rights. Like that literally violates your due process rights in America to send you to another country, which doesn't have the same due process as America, to prosecute you. No, I'm sorry, no. So that would violate that general principle of non-extradition of nationals. So let's say that person is an American. It's not going to work. Let's say they're a dual citizen. Let's say they're a British American dual citizen. They have dual citizenship. They're not going to extradite them if they're in America. It's not going to happen. Or they're Canadian or whatever else. They're not going to extradite them. You're going to have to prosecute them in Canada or in Australia or whatever else if they're a dual citizen. Hong Kong, whatever else, Singapore. And God only knows that a lot of people in the UK are dual citizens. Now, unfortunately, a lot of those dual citizens are probably the ones that are favored by the two-tier police system and not the ones that are being targeted by it, unfortunately, right? But that's neither here nor there. That's neither here nor there. Now, there's a third principle that comes to play here. Which is the political offense exception. So this is another reason why this will never, ever, ever get you deported. And that is, there's a political offense exception. Let's zoom in here. Let me read this for you guys here. Most countries do not allow extradition for political crimes, which is known as the political offense exception. The political offense exception is a clause that limits a sovereign state's responsibilities under an extradition treaty. If the requesting party's authority determines that the requesting party seeks a citizen to prosecute a political offense, such provisions allow the requested party to refuse to hand over the subject or to collect evidence on behalf of another state. So this is now a standard provision in almost all extradition treaties around the world, and it's explicitly provided for in the domestic laws of most countries. Boom. So if you are trying to prosecute someone for what is a political crime, you're not going to be extradited. And this is a political crime. This is the quintessential political crime. This is a law which is essentially saying you cannot have this political opinion. If you have this political opinion, you will be punished. And you're going to try to take that into countries which have free speech or which don't outlaw that, which don't criminalize that, and make them export them? No way. It's a political offense. Even if they're British, even if they're in a country where you have an extradition treaty, right? So these are all things. Even if they're British in a country where they have an extradition treaty, even then, won't happen. Won't happen. Right? So all of these barriers mean this Metro police officer, this chief, doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. This is why the UK is a goddamn joke. And I don't mean this about the people, because, by the way, I love a lot of British people. British people are great. I hang out with a lot of really cool British expats that are awesome. I love them. But a lot of these expats, they got out for a reason, because they said the government is just fucking us and they're doing shit like this and it's ridiculous. Same thing with my brothers and Canadians. Same things with my Australian brothers and sisters, right? I'm simpatico with you. I understand that. I get it, and it's not you guys, because you guys are fucking awesome and you're some great clients. I help a lot of people come to Asia from these countries, from Britain, from the UK, from Australia, Canada, right? They don't like these policies either. They think they're ridiculous. They think it's insanity that people have lost their mind. But this is where the government is at nowadays. And that's just the fact, right? And I don't want to look, I hate when people get out there, all people are like this. No, this is the government, the current government, right? And I agree, the UK is throwing a worse tantrum than some of the worst authoritarian states. Yeah, they're worse than Saudi Arabia in many senses.